it's Emily. Welcome back on my channel. Today's video is going to be my June wrap-up-ish. I have read so far in the month of June 10 books, and I wanted to do this video because I'm just going to have my own wrap-up for my booktubeathon readathon that's going on right now. So I thought I would just do that instead of putting this at the end and having to edit both of the videos at the end of the month. I thought it was a little bit too last minute, plus I've already read 10 books. It's more than enough to do this video. So let's go through this. So like I mentioned, I have read 10 books this month, which I'm really happy with. And a lot of these were actually audiobooks, just happened that way this month. And I'm gonna go through them because there's definitely some hit and miss. And I feel like there's gonna be quite a few unpopular opinions, which I'm okay with. I feel like half the time with BookTube, I have pretty not so popular opinions. Anyway, let's do this. So the first book I finished was You Will Know Me by Abbott. This book is categorized as a mystery, and those type of books, thrillers, mystery, I don't usually like to know too much about them, so I don't really want to say too much either when I review them because I feel like that's the best way to go into them. The least you know, the more of a chance you're gonna enjoy them. But this one I ended up giving a 2.5 stars out of 5, and I was pretty disappointed, to be honest. You're following a family of 4, and the oldest kid is a teenage girl that is a gymnast, and she has a chance of possibly going to the Olympics. So basically the whole life of the whole family is just her, which makes you feel a little bit bad for the youngest brother. But I have to say, like, there was a mystery there, but not really. Like, it's the type of book that nothing really happens, and the writing wasn't so great either. Like, there's one sentence that got stuck into my head, and now I feel like I can't remember, but something like his dad, not his dad body, but like something about the husband, and it was just so cringy. Like, the writing wasn't, basically it was just disappointing because the mystery wasn't that much of like a mystery. Like, you kind of already know what happened when something happens, so yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Next, I was really excited to read this book. I read Down Among the Sticks and Bones. Basically, it's the second book after Every Heart a Doorway, which I really liked, by Seanan Mcguire. In that series, you're following kids that come back from a different world, think Narnia, and they can't really readjust to our world. And in the second book, you're following twins that go into one of those worlds, and then you just see what happens there. And I did really like it. Like, the writing was beautiful, the story was nice, but I feel like between some of the other kids' world I was interested into, this one was probably the least interesting, which that is completely personal. Some people might be very, very happy that they were the kids that we were following. There is a third book, which I'm hoping I will like more, but I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars. It was good, it just really wasn't the story I wanted to continue following, you know what I mean? So definitely just a personal thing. I think a lot of people would enjoy this. Then I listened to The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli, and last month, at least recently, I read Simons versus the Homo Sapien Agenda by Becky Albertalli also, and I enjoy that one just as much. I feel like it was really good as an audiobook because the language was very easy, like conversation type of language. It wasn't very intense, so perfect for an audiobook. I definitely recommend it. You're following a main character. She has a sister who is gay, and actually her mom's too, and eventually in the book they get married, and definitely something that will make you like feel all the feels, and you don't really want to know much more than this because it's definitely just a contemporary, so like there's not that much that happens per se, but it's really nice to see her develop a friendship and then a relationship with someone. So if you were in the mood for a light contemporary read for the summer, I would definitely recommend this one. The characters are super diverse too, which is fantastic. I give it 4 stars. Oh, next will be the unpopular opinion of the day. I read When Dimple Met Rishi, and I could not finish the book. I was listening to it as an audiobook, thinking maybe it's going to make it easier to go through, but I was so annoyed with this one, and I will link down below. I did a review on Goodreads, and I feel like it was easier to just put my words like there, but basically you're following Dimple, who is Indian, and her parents want her to like have an arranged marriage, and she's really not interested. She wants to go to university, and she convinced them a little too easily to send her to a camp where she will be able to learn practical skills, app skills for her program. And there she meets Rishi, who knows that he's supposed to meet her there and then, you know, prepare things to get married. And she doesn't know, she meets him not knowing this, and things don't go super well. But I have to say, like, the premise was interesting. I was definitely open-minded to it, but I was so annoyed because Rishi seemed like a nice kid, although like insta love was way too intense. But Dimple was not very likable, like definitely rude, and she kept hitting him all the freaking time, which really got annoying. And she got over the fact that this was supposed to be like arranged marriage and she was super against it to like being completely okay like in a fraction of a second, which really bothered me. So yeah, I wasn't able to finish it, so I don't even know if things improved towards the end. But where I was at, like I only had like 2 hours left to the audiobook, so I definitely listened to quite a bit of it. But things were supposed to be about that competition to win $1,000, and then there was like a talent show of them dancing and then so much kissing happening, and it just got so frustrating because like the story was not following what it was like supposed to in the beginning. Anyway, no, didn't like it. I gave it 2 stars and that was generous. I finally finished Packing for Mars by Mary Roach, and if you don't know anything about this book, it is basically a non-fiction about things in space and how it works, and there's quite a bit of info also about astronauts and how it started, how people were sent, and it was really funny too. Fair warning though, there's quite a bit of information about pooping and peeing in space because technically when you think about it, gravity helps us a lot with this. So if you don't have gravity, it can be problematic. So some people might not like that type of humor, but I thought the information that was given was interesting. I actually wanted to find more nonfiction about space and astronauts. So if you were looking for a great nonfiction, an easy way to start, I would definitely recommend her books in general. I haven't read any of the other ones, but everyone seems to think that everything that she writes is like always a type of humor and super interesting way to just get to reading nonfiction. I know she has another one called Stiff where she tells you what happens to your body when you die. And that seemed interesting too. The next book was something I was really looking forward to. This book by Brent Weeks. Black Prism, which is the first book in the Lightbringer series, and I have the 2 other ones on my shelves, and I had been wanting to read this for super long, and they're pretty big, so I was like, I don't know if I want to really commit to it. There's like over 600 pages, and I finally did it this month, and I am torn because I like the magic system. Basically, how it works is people that do have magical powers, they use the light, and then on the spectrum of light, there's multiple colors, and they can use certain colors. Some people can use only 1, some people can use 2, like a couple ones, sometimes like weird ones that are like at the opposite, which is very rare. And then once a generation, there's supposed to be a black prism, someone that can use all of them without exhausting themselves, because that's the thing. The more magic you use, the closer you are to your death. And that was super fascinating to me. I was like sold as soon as I heard this, so that's why I read the whole thing. And what ruined it for me was the intense sexism in there, which is something that needs to be mentioned a lot more. Fantasy books series by male authors very often have a lot of sexism, and it's really frustrating to try and read a book like this. And some of it could be excused by the fact that one of the main characters is a 15-year-old chubby, orny perv of a kid. And fine, but honestly, I could tell you, like, if all the girls, the main characters, female main characters were in this room, I could tell you which one is the prettiest in order and talk about their boobs. Like, in really weird moments too. Once again, I'll link the review I did of this because it was so frustrating because one of the main characters is a female badass. She's part of the elite, like, Blackguard, and she has great magical powers, so you're like, yeah, I'm rooting for you. And then at one point she mentions how self-conscious she is of her manly shoulders. Like, what was that? Like, it was so bad. The fact that every time, like, there would be little things also throughout the book that, like, oh, this 40-year-old woman was still had nice skin even though she was starting to have wrinkles. Like, do you say that about the guy next to her? No, you don't describe his face. You just say that he's like a badass, whatever he is. Another time, there was a woman, and again, 40. I don't know what's the obsession with 40-year-old women, but he's just saying how she is like bigger and she has big boobs, but they're saggy because she's 40. Like, what about the balls of the guy next to her? Like, you don't tell us that because it's freaking pointless. Like, it was so frustrating. So yeah, just huge warning if that's something you're gonna be reading, because actually, even at the time, Kip, the main character, is 15. At one point, he falls again on the floor and he thinks to himself during like a battle, oh my god, I spend more time on my back than a whore. What type of humor is that? I just, like, it makes you feel like this book was written for like 12 to like 20-year-old men that are sexist or don't realize that this is sexism. So overall, I'm just very frustrated with this book. I definitely wanted to continue, but I'm really annoyed with it, basically. It's just frustrating. And you will see, again, there's another book by a male author this month that was just... like, I don't understand why they find it so hard to write female characters. Like, we're humans. Just stop talking about boobs. Like, there's a lot more to us than that. Right now, I gave it 4 stars, but it's like solely because of the magic system and a little bit because of the story. But it probably doesn't deserve it. I tried to listen to one more audiobook this month, and it was The Wanderers by Meg Howrey. It was an adult fiction about like astronauts that are preparing themselves to go into space. So clearly I was in the mood this month, and I had heard good things about it, and I just don't disagree. I don't agree. And it's just that it was like very a psychological type of book. Like, there was like no action pretty much. Yeah, basically that's my review. Nothing happens. Like, some characters were interesting to read about, but 99% of them were just not likable. And at the end of the book, I was just like, what was the point of the book, basically? So I give it 2 stars too. Then I read And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, and I was super excited to read this because this is like a classic mystery type of book, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed trying to figure out who was the killer, which, if you don't know anything, by the way, the story, I feel like everyone does, but there's 10 people that are invited to a island, and they don't know why they're invited, they don't know the other people, and then people start getting killed one by one, and they're trying to figure out who's doing it. And I was fooled. I didn't figure out who was the killer. Actually, I realized that I went at the end, I was like, I still don't know who is who, and I didn't realize the last bit was actually revealing everything, and I was like super confused for a minute. But I feel like because there was 10 characters and I kept mixing them together, it kind of ruined my enjoyment. Like, I was trying to figure out who it was, but then I kept forgetting characters, so I don't know. So yeah, I did enjoy it, but maybe not as much as other people did. I definitely think this is a great mystery to read if you're trying to read some more classics, but I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars, which for me is good. Then I did the 24 and 48 hour readathon, and I will link the vlog that I did in the description down below, because I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I did read Artemis by Weir, which is the author of The Martian, which is one of my favorite books ever. So you can imagine how excited I was to get to read an arc of it. It also happens in space. It actually happens all of it on the moon. Basically, there is like a city that is there now, and there's a few people that work there and everything. And you're following Jazz, a 26-year-old woman who apparently acts and thinks like a 15-year-old teenage boy. So you kind of know where this is going. But I did enjoy the fact that she had to use her like scientific knowledge to try and fix things. I don't want to say too much more because like this book, you will enjoy it a lot more if you know not too much about the plot, basically. But things happen, people die, and they're trying to figure out what's going on and trying to like kind of solve the mystery, try to fix things. And that was definitely something that reminded me a lot of The Martian. I enjoyed these bits, but the humor, which I know some people didn't love the humor in The Martian, but the humor was just so bad. I really didn't like it. It was kind of cringy. And then once again, the main author not knowing how to write female characters. She was supposed to be 26, and like I was saying, she acted like she was 15. And at one point, she is spending the night with her friend because people are after her, and she just showers there, and then she has like no clean clothes, so she just grabs a shirt, put it on, and then the guys, who is pretty awkward with women, comes into the room, and he's just like staring at her like, and she just thinks apparently that, yeah, I have to admit I was pretty sexy. Like, they have a super like friendly relationship, kind of like awkward, and she would think that. I don't know, it just felt so weird. And it's not the only moment. Like, there was a lot of this, and I know other people were mentioning how there's another character who is gay, and he kept like mentioning it at weird moments, so I feel like it really didn't feel very natural. And so whenever you don't really like the humor, even if you like the story, it kind of just annoys you throughout the whole book. So yeah, I still think if you like The Martian, you would like it, because again, it's in space, there's scientific knowledge, there's some intrigue, you're trying to figure out what things happened, and yeah, but just a warning that the humor, I personally think, was not as good as The Martian. And then last but not least, I finished A Close and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. This is the second book after The Long Way to Small Angry Planet, which is an adult sci-fi series, very character driven. Like, there's not a lot of action. And I like the first one, which there was more action I feel in the first one. The second one, you're following two different characters, one of them being in the past. And the second character is basically artificial intelligence, which was fantastic. And again, it's a type of book that is just like making you feel all the feels. And if you like the first one, you will like the second one too. I really enjoyed myself. I ended up giving it like 4.5. Loved it, totally recommend it. And for some reason, my readathon, I was supposed to read books that I had started and didn't finish for whatever reason, and this was the only one that I ended up finishing. And I don't know why I had stopped. Maybe because it was a little slow pace and I was like in a reading slump, but totally recommend this. So that's it, guys. Those are all the books that I have finished this month. Like I said, I will link the videos that I mentioned down below, and I'm still planning on doing the booktubeathon, so there's probably going to be hopefully up to 7 books that will be done, but that will be all in that video instead, because way too many books already. So that's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Let me know if you have read any of the books that I mentioned, what you thought about them. Are you planning on reading them? Did you agree with my opinions? Do you have different opinions? It's always fun to just discuss this in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss any future videos, and I will be linking on the screen of the videos that I've done if you want to watch some more, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.